go for it. Be aggressive in your life. Like kind of like love your life big. Like go after it. There's no like politeness needed. Be the biggest, loudest, most authentic version of yourself that you can be.
Welcome in, everyone. We are here for another episode, Adventures in Business live and direct. Mandi, how are we doing today?
Amani, we're accidental twinsies. We both wear pink. How fun
Yes,
is that?
we love
Can
to
you
rock pink.
share what your sweatshirt says, Amani?
Okay, so it says the Amaniacs. So this is my crew during the pandemic that was supporting when I was streaming live on Twitch. I got all their pictures, made them all cartoons, and it's one of my favorite hoodies that I ever own. So yeah.
Oh, it's so cute. I want to be. How do I get to be an Amaniac? What is
Well, I
that? Like
have
what?
your cartoon, so when I make part 2, you'll be on there.
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay. I
yeah.
want
So
to
you're
be an
there.
Amaniac. I want to be
Okay.
in the next. Can it be purple? Because our show's purple. Can you do like an Amaniac or no? Is
I
that
could
is
do
that not
you
part of the
can
line?
get the hoodie in different colors already. So if you want it in purple, you can make it purple. I like a light purple,
Okay.
not a dark purple. So
Yeah, I
yes.
like a light purple, like a little lavender kind of
Yeah.
thing.
There you
Yeah,
go.
I like
Lavender is a
it too.
good color. Yeah.
All right, you were in Nashville last week. What
Yeah.
were you doing in Nashville? And welcome home.
Yes. I was in Nashville for an accelerator event for Brand Builders Groups, year 3. So I was there learning about like growing my coaching program, growing the speaking, all the things. And it's funny because one of the big takeaways that they shared you can relate to is that in-person events are now more important than they've ever been. The more we get to using AI, the more important in-person events are. So that was a good takeaway. I talked to them about my coaching program. We asked a lot of questions. One of the most interesting takeaways is they released their big book in July, made the New York Times bestseller list. But they said they thought that the release of that book would cause them to get a lot of clients that would book more. But
Mhm.
really, it ended up being the lead magnet, which brought clients to them, but they still have to do a couple extra steps to book more clients. That was very interesting. Then
Mhm.
the co founder, AJ Vaden, she agreed to be on our podcast. So that's good
Heck
too.
yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's awesome.
Yes. Yes. So that's the summer. I came back and I was on a panel for a book empire event here in Vegas on Friday with Julie Broad, a former guest.
Awesome.
And then I rested over the weekend because I was a little tired.
I'm glad you rested. Did you get any pancakes? Did you have any sweet treats, your favorite?
No pancakes this weekend, but soon.
Just
So
slacking.
it made me sad. But what did you do to celebrate International Women's Day? Tell us about that and how did it go?
Oh, Amani, I had so much fun. I had two girlfriends over for dinner on Saturday night. 25 years we've been friends. And we just giggled and hooted and hollered. And we sat in the backyard and we drank martinis. We only had one. We're so lame because we can't drink anymore. We had one martini and maybe a half a glass of wine, but we had great food. And the night was beautiful. And Luca behaved, which was great. So that was awesome. And then Sunday, I wanted to gather just girls. So I created a flyer and
Mm,
said, I will be at this place from 1 to 5 o'clock. If you want to join me, come join in. And the flyer had a lady doing a high kick because I love a high kick.
yes, you do.
And
You do.
and we had girlfriends and allies join us. And I filled up a bag from my gift closet. So I had
Mhm.
prizes. I had a little
Okay.
sign. If you meet
Mm,
a woman that inspires you in a conversation, on your honor, pull out of the prize bag and give her a prize. So like ladies were like reaching in the bag and they were giving the portable fans for perimenopause and they were giving books and they were giving eye
okay.
patches and it was awesome.
Okay.
So
All
it was
right.
fun. Yeah, I really celebrated being a lady all weekend. It was
As
awesome.
you should, as you do. Before
Mhm.
we get to our guests, any bingo card updates? I know that next week I'll have an update for you. Next week I
Okay.
will.
Let me see. Let me see. Oh, well, I've got my writing retreat tomorrow, and that's
Okay.
two. So I've got a
Okay.
bingo card. I've got attend a creative experience crossed out, and I've got my creative space complete. I have three of my bingo things crossed out,
Okay.
Amani.
I've
Yeah.
got my free space and then two. So by the next week I'll have another one filled out.
We're getting close. Well, we'll
Yeah.
have a mini episode about it
Yes.
at the end of the
Yeah.
month. Okay.
Now,
All right. Let's
now,
talk about it.
tell us who our guest is today. I'm so excited. I got my notes. You see me here, man. I got my little book here ready now.
Oh, you're back. I know. I got all mine too. I know. I know. Oh, I'm so excited. We got a firecracker today, Amani. We have a top-notch professional speaker, a top 12 podcast creator, a Shark Tank alumni with an offer from Mark Cuban. She built her business tippy toes to 70 franchises before exiting in 2024. And she's now the president of events and coaching for Jesse Itzler's company. She's a mom. She's a gal pal. She's a wife, and she's got a really rad sense of style. Welcome to the show, Megan Reilly.
Yes. So round of applause here. We got a round of applause happening all over.
Hi, Megan.
Thank you
Welcome.
for having me. Hi, thank you. I have to say, I just want to like listen to you continue to chat, and I want to hang out with both of you guys.
Yes.
Because you're doing
we can
very
make that
cool things
happen.
all the
Yes.
time.
We
do
can
it.
make that
Love
happen
it.
for
Let's
sure.
do it.
Now we have lots of questions for you, but my first one, and I work with my fact checkers, me, and we tried to confirm this. Did you really walk on and play basketball at Oklahoma State for the Cowboys as a freshman? Is this true?
I walked on the University of Oklahoma
Wow.
basketball team.
Okay.
My when I was a freshman, walked on at the University of Oklahoma back when they were a powerhouse, and walked on. They cut all the other walk-ons, and then they said, "Hold on, Megan, we want you to stay, and we want you to stay on the team." And there's more to this story. It's a bit of a story which we could go into now or later.
Yeah,
But
let's hear it.
okay, so I was a walk on, and I felt like a walk on, and I had never felt like a walk on before. So normally, like before this, I was pretty good on my team, and I had the different persona, and then all of a sudden I'm a walk on, and I feel like I am slower. I am not as good at shooting. I am never going to play on this team. Stacey Dales was on the team. Lanisha Caulfield was on the team. Like it was like
Wow.
killer team. Yeah.
Wow.
And so I showed up to the camp in the summer, and I was like, I just want to try because I want to be at the University of Oklahoma. But as soon as I started playing with them and going to 5 a.m. practices and on the practice football field, I was like, oh my gosh, they are bigger, stronger, faster, everythinger than me. Like I was like, and that was all I could think about was like how out of my league I was. And so they brought all the walk-ons together. They were like, thanks, but no thanks. You guys are all cut. And I was like, yeah, that tracks. Like we kind of suck and you shouldn't keep us on the team. And I walked away, and the coach came and he said, Megan, come back. He said, this was the assistant coach. He said, we want you to stay. And honestly, I was like, in my head, I was like, why? Like, I'm not gonna, why do you want me to stay? But I said, okay, coach. And I kept coming to practice early mornings, just grinding it out and thinking all along, like, I am not ever going to contribute to this team. Why am I here? And that's the only narrative I had going in my head. And after more weeks of that and just feeling like it was just too big for me. I just didn't belong there. I felt like they were pitying me. I thought they were just giving me this bone for some reason. I couldn't really figure it out. I went into Sherry Cole's office and I quit.
Mm.
And that year, the team that I made, the team that all the other walk-ons were cut and they kept me, they went and they had a great season, and they went on to win the Big 12 tournament. And then they went to the national, or they went to the national,
Final
NCAA
four.
tournament.
Yeah. Mhm.
They went to Sweet 16, Elite 8, Final Four. And then they won the Final Four game. And so they're in the national championship. And I'm sitting at home watching the national championship with the team I made, and I'm sitting on the couch watching this team play for national championship. Gutted. Like, I can't believe this. Luckily, they lost the game.
She said, luckily, that's so real. Keep going.
The only saving grace for me at that moment was thank God they lost. Not really. Like, I really wanted it for the girls because I loved, they were so good to me and they were so great. But that lesson, that was one of those lessons. It's like, I can talk about it now, but I was lost and sick for years. Like, why? Like, I couldn't figure it out. And it took time on the back end, which normally now in these podcasts, it sounds like, oh, you just figured it out on the fly. No, it was brutal and terrible in the whole process. But what happened for me over time is I reflected and I thought about it. And I realized that what the coaches saw was someone that would have never quit, who would have been great in the locker room. I would have been a great ambassador for the program. I would never have gotten in trouble. I would have helped the GPA. I would have been like fun in the locker room, but pushed them on the court. No, I wasn't going to take a starting spot ever. That wasn't going to happen. That's a reality. Like, that's okay that that's a reality. But what I missed is all that I could have offered, because all I was looking at is all I was short on, and all the things I didn't come up on. And so that's shaped me in my professional life, because I will never be Megan Reilly sitting on the couch because I walked away from an opportunity that felt too big. And that's what the University of Oklahoma, walking on the basketball team, it felt too big for me. I couldn't handle it. I wasn't willing to just be like, I don't know how this is going to end, but I'm going to go for it. I was like, this is too big. I'm out. And it was brutal, and it was sad, and it was awful. And it took me a lot of years to put all that together, but it's helped me now. It's now part of my keynote. It now, when Jesse Itzler first called me and was like, hey, will you do this? And I was like, I don't know how to do that. Why? What? You want me to do that? No. I'm like, nope, I'm not going to be Megan on the couch. I'm going to be, sure, let's do it. So anyways, the fact is pretty close, University of Oklahoma. And it's a really important story to me. So I love getting to start off with that, because it's one of my, it's a pillar now for me in my life. Like, if the table feels like you don't belong there, just sit down and learn what you can learn, and be yourself and do you. Like, I was trying to be Stacey Dales. I'm not Stacey Dales. I should have been Megan Lowry at the time. Like, that's who I should have been, and that's what the team needed. And maybe if I would have stayed, there would have been a different outcome. You never know. So, yeah.
Good answer. Point guard or shooting guard?
Shoot or point guard? No, not either, because that was the other thing, is I was little. So I was a post player my whole life. So I go to play in the NCAA, and I'm 5'9". Like, so I was like
You're like an undersized 4. Yes, got it. Wow. Okay.
Another reason that I was like, see, I don't belong anywhere, because I hadn't grown up, with handles like a NCAA point guard. So I was like, another reason I didn't think I fit the mold.
Great story. Thank you for sharing. Mandi, I will segue that to you. Good job, fact checkers. Good job.
Good job, fact checkers. If anybody has any questions, pop them in the chat too, because we'll yell out your questions. But Megan, something you just said reminded me of a past guest we had on, and she talked about writing your own obituary, and not like your real obituary, but like, who are those caricatures of your past that you're putting to rest, that you're like buried, and what would you say about them? And I feel like the more you talk about this, Megan on the couch is like, you're writing Megan on the couch's obituary. Like, that girl, she does not live in your space anymore, right? Like, we put her to rest. So
she's gone. Yeah, I know that's a great way of saying it. And I like to remember her every now and then, because I will still find myself with like moments are too big. Like, how is this this opportunity? So I like to remember that she's there, but I don't act on her ideas anymore.
Yeah, she gone. I want to pay you a compliment, because I just attended an event that you strategized and you planned, and from registration. So I attended the Built to Speak retreat, which is put on by Jesse Itzler, you and the Jesse Itzler team. And from registration to execution, this event was so good. Like, the speakers, the flow, the content, it was so thoughtful. And as an attendee, I felt like it flowed so well. And for me personally, it was very transformational. And I just think when you're producing events, like, that's everybody's dream. Anybody can put on an event, right? You can like do the schedule and do the registration, but like, to actually have impact, that is so, so meaningful. So as you're growing like these events and these retreats side of this business, like, how are you thinking about programming flow and content? Like, what does that strategy look like for you?
Well, thank you for that compliment. Coming from you, it's like huge, because you are like an expert in the field, beyond an expert in the field. So that means everything to me. And I also must say being able to run an event with someone like you coming, your encouragement and your kindness and your engagement with everything, it was like, it's nice, you know, because I think sometimes we forget everybody's a person and everybody likes to be called out for whatever it is. So, and you
Mhm.
did that the whole time. So thank you. You know, with anything that we're doing with Jesse's events, it is about like a ridiculous amount of value and content. And Jesse, every time we have conversations about it, he's like, I want it to be so powerful. I want it to move the needle. I want to really have people not just like be passive. We want people to really feel like they have had some sort of a growth moment, some sort of something they're going to take on with them, something that will make them a little bit different going forward. And the truth is that when that's your main focus, that's all we thought about with, you know, the people that we brought in and the experts that we brought in, like what, and then how can these people all play together? To me, it's a big puzzle piece, and it's a big puzzle, and you're thinking like it can't all be the same color, it can't all be the same shape, they all have to fit together. And I think it's being obsessed with bringing value and content for people that can weave together really nicely. I think that to me is the combination that's really important. It doesn't hurt when Jesse is involved because he's always like, you know, he could just goes like just to the next level always. Like it'll be like normal,
Yeah.
and then he'll be like, what if, you know, XYZ? And then you're
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
yes, that is so cool. So it's helpful to have a leader like that too.
Yeah. And then building community. Cause I think that's the other thing, right? You want people to come back to your events over and over again. And it's getting people to sign up is one thing, getting them to be engaged and then tell other people about it and come back. So from building the community for all of this, like what do you think is the key to building a durable events community or just a durable community? Like it can be translated to business community or a soccer community or whatever that is. Like, what
Yeah.
do you think the key to building a durable community is?
Yeah, I love that question. And I would say like any event, it's always to me the community is the underlying X factor that can make it like such a different experience for everybody, because the truth is that lives on well beyond any speech or any presentation. It's the community that it's like the heartbeat that keeps on beating long after any event. And I think that's incredibly powerful for anyone running events or anyone creating community. Is also, you know, being really authentic with everybody and you know, not, I feel like sometimes things are too polished or too like this is how it's supposed to go and this is the, you know, and I just feel like being very human is very important. And so like we kind of joked during the event like, oh, you know what, we're going to switch, we're going to go to Jesse's house instead of go here, you know, or whatever it was, that letting people in on it with you is important. So we've had another community called Adventure Club, and they, you know, it was a community that you end up feeling like you're a part of something bigger than you. And you do that by helping connect people by connecting dots for people. And that's kind of what I think our team tries to do too, is like, oh, you know what, it would be really great if you connect with so and so. So being a facilitator, I think that's part of it too, is meeting the people and being able to help make those connections as you go. You know, and I also feel like being slow with people is really important. So once they're there, not rushing through the conversation, not looking past them the whole time, and like, you know, not letting people feel that they are the centerpiece. Like I am here to talk to you, Mandy. I am here, you know, like it's important for when I see you at the event to like finish the conversation looking at you in your eyes and remember the story about how you met your husband. Remember your stories about your dogs, like knowing that you can, you know, like it's remembering that people are the most important and you need to be slow with them and not just run through the event to like check off the list. It's about making the connection with people, and you do that by being slow with people and having those full conversations that really like stick with you.
I think that's such a powerful takeaway because whether you're the one planning the event or you're the owner of the event, like I just think it's so easy to not be slow with people because you're like thinking about the
Mhm.
next thing, or you're like wondering what time rehearsal starts, or you're like, why is that food coming out? I didn't order that. I just think it's so easy to not be slow. So anybody that's listening or watching, take this, like heed this advice, be slow with people at your events. That's beautiful. Yeah.
And I'll add, like, there will be a moment when I'll be like, Mandy, I gotta go because I see something, a fire happening over here. And then to me, it's like, it's also like touch you on your shoulder and be like, I will be right back. You know, like it's just being
Yeah.
real. Like, and then come back and be like, thank you. Sorry. Okay, let's talk about your clothes because I love the color and I love this. And where did you get the colorful sweatshirt? Like it's okay to like be in the moment. And sometimes
Yeah.
your hair is on fire, but like it comes back to the people.
Yeah.
So we have a bunch of people in the chat there. Lori Kime is with us. Kelly, we see you. A question from Tragic25 from YouTube. They want to know, what are the touch points, I guess kind and amount, you recommend in between events to keep the community durable? Because you do a really good job with that. So what comes to mind?
Great question. I would say it's important to know the identity of your community and what you're doing and what you've promised, making sure you're following through on whatever promise you've put out there. That's very important. And so to some degree, it's like, make sure you know what you're trying to build, and like you have to know your path, and your path isn't going to be the same as mine, and it won't be the same as anybody else's. So never forgetting your path is going to look just like your own path and nobody else's. What we like to do is we create a community, on an app, and make sure that that's available for everybody. And what we have found is we have a lot of high performers come in, and they keep that ball rolling, and they support each other. And our team, interestingly, I feel like I found this as a franchise owner. Sometimes when we're too involved, it becomes only us that like moves the conversation forward. So I have learned over time, it's important sometimes for the facilitators to create the environment and throw some things here and there, but to also let them own it. Let them own the community. Give them a shout out, support the conversation, but not be the one that's like all in the business of it the whole time, honestly. And I don't know if that's right or wrong, but I have seen that to be really valuable. And I've also done it the other way, where I was doing too much and it became a burden to me, and it didn't create a great community, to be honest. So in terms of like, actual like tangible numbers, I don't have those, to be honest. Like, I think you kind of feel it out. You see how the community is going. When it gets slow on the chat, you want it to keep going, you add into it. We like to add value again. So if it kind of feels like, there's a little bit of a lull, we had a lot of the events that Mandi went to was like a one-time event. But we've had other communities that go on for a year. Well, in that case, you want to make sure you're bringing different value points throughout the year and not just like one event, so I think it's about the DNA of that specific community and what you're trying to do. And I also think it's powerful to kind of appoint some leaders within the community and let them kind of own it. Because again, if you have more people that care about protecting the community, it'll last longer.
Got it. What's up? Justin M. Block is in the chat. He says hello.
Aw,
Okay.
Justin. Hope you'll be here next week. Yeah. Hey, Justin.
Oh,
So
fun.
Yeah.
if I had your sister's husband pop on the stream right now, and you were to say, what would you say to him, knowing that he's the one that applied for you to be on Shark Tank? What would you say to him now after you've been through this whole kind of journey that led you to today?
I am so grateful that he is sneaky and did it. And that we had no idea until Shark Tank called. We had no idea that we were even, that it was just like, it was the most random call to have them call and be like, well, you're going to be on Shark Tank. And we just thought they found us. We thought they scoured the United States. And were like, these girls need to be on the show, which is so not what happened. But it was fun for that, like 10 minutes. We thought that's what was happening. But it's so fun. And I'll tell you, that's his personality. He's an incredible leader himself, and he just goes for it. And I think that's part of why I've had success in my life too, is like not overthinking stuff and just go for it. Just go. Let's just try. I don't know. Let's see what's going to happen. Am I ready to go on Shark Tank? I don't know. Let's go. Let's try it. We'll find out, So he has that energy for sure.
Yeah. Now the follow-up would be like, why is taking risks one of the most valuable lessons you learned from your Shark Tank experience?
So, I mean, I feel like taking risks is really the only way to move forward and really the only way to grow, because the truth is that you become qualified through action. That's how you get qualified at anything, is by taking action. And that action often feels like a risk. And the truth, I almost want to reframe it. I don't even know that it's taking a risk. It's just doing stuff, I wouldn't recommend someone, mortgage their house for a risk, I think there's a way to take certain risks. But I think about with Shark Tank, how little risk there was a lot of risk. You're going on national television. I don't have editing power. I don't have, they don't care what I think. They're making a TV show. What if they don't like us? What if they don't get our idea? All those things. And for me, what I did in that moment in order to take the risk is I focus on what was within my control. I'm not in charge of editing. I can't make the sharks like me. I can't, I can't make sure that there's so many things I can't do. But what I can do is I can learn about the people I'm selling to. I learned about their kids' names, the businesses the sharks had been a part of. This was before they were like on every commercial and household names. Nobody knew
Right.
them. Nobody knew who these people were. I knew their kids' names. I knew where they had made money, lost money. I knew that. So no, I can't make them like me, but I can put myself in a position to connect with them. I needed to know my pitch. So I focused on that. I can't control if they like it or not, but I can make sure I show up prepared. And so, focusing on the things within your control that help you get to your goal, it is the way to take a risk, in my opinion, because then it's more calculated and then you're doing the work. And then all of a sudden, what happens when you do that work is you become qualified. Then all of a sudden we're in front of the sharks and we deliver the pitch perfectly. They want to change the topic and talk about something totally different. Well, luckily we focused on what was within our control, which was understanding our business. So we could switch and talk about anything. We could talk about any numbers. So I think taking a risk is the most important thing, but I think you have to do it strategically. You don't just go around like a crazy person, like, oh, I'm going to take risks because everyone says to. No, be thoughtful. Like focus on what you can control and move towards your goal. And if you're doing that, then the risk becomes a little mitigated. And you know, yeah, I think leaping before you have all the answers is important, and that's risk. But I think it's really, really important to do that because that will help you become qualified in whatever you're trying to pursue.
What's up, everybody? I want to tell you and encourage you to purchase my book, my award-winning USA Today best-selling book, The Quiet Storm, a historical and cultural analysis of the power, passion, and pain of R&B groups. If you want to get one copy, you can go to Amazon, look up The Quiet Storm book, Amani, find it there. If you want to order multiple copies, then go to thequietstormbook.com, fill out the form, order the books. I'll send them to you. I love to share with you my love of R&B groups, the history from the 1950s to the mid 2000s, what happened to all the R&B groups, and what's going to happen next. Buy your book now. Thank you very much. See you soon.
So
Awesome.
for context, for the people that might not know the story, can you just share what product you went to Shark Tank with and what happened at the show and then what happened after the show? Because those are three important things.
Yes, I would love to. Okay, so for most of my adult life, I was co-owner of Tippy Toes Dance Company, which is a children's dance company that my sister started in 1999 as a college student when she was trying to make ends meet. So she was going and teaching dance, to make a car payment, and it kept working. And she did that for a couple of years before I came to school, and then I started doing it. We were just going to teach dance. We had a boombox and a smile, and we were like, "Can we teach dance to the kids?" And they were like, "Sure." We're like, "Okay." And by the time we graduate, it's a business. It's like a real thing making money. We were always in the black because we were going into daycare. So we didn't have a building. We didn't have a lot of overhead. We were using what was natural to us. We grew up dancing recreationally. So it was like effortless because we were leaning into our natural talents, which I think is another really important thing that people should do more of, is like, it was so easy to start the business because we were doing something that came easily to us, and so we built the business over years. And it was 10 years later that Shark Tank came out, and we'd love watching the show. Like we used to come home from school and put on a business suit. Like I was a nerd, but I loved the idea. I'd come home and pretend like I had my own business, and what a nerd. But anyways, I loved it.
love
And
that.
I always like loved
love
the
it.
idea of building and creating and leading. And so Shark Tank came on, and it was like, this is so cool. This is so interesting. Other entrepreneurs. Again, this was before it was such a popular way of life. And it was like the first time I saw my people. It's like the first time I saw people talking about these things and seeing their passion. And my brother-in-law, without my sister or I knowing, submitted for us to be on the show. They call us. They're like, "We'd like you to come on the show." We're like, oh my gosh, you know, couldn't believe it. This was crazy. We get out there. It's a wild experience. We had no idea. They don't promise you anything. You don't know what's going to happen. You know, are you going to get on the show? Are you not? Are you going to get in front of the sharks? Are you not? If you do, are you going to get aired? You're on the ropes the whole time. You have no idea what's going to happen. And you know, next thing I know, literally like the last hour of the last day of shooting, we get a knock on the door while we're at the Sony lot, and they come and they shuffle us across the lot in LA. And next thing I know, I'm like put in this little black curtained area. Some guy comes in and like sticks his hand up my shirt to put my microphone in.
Mhm.
I'm like, we went to second base, and he never told me his name. It was like very unexpected. I was like, oh, okay. And then he opens the curtains, and it was the Shark Tank hallway. And yeah, so we went down the hallway. We delivered, you know, we had focused on the things within our control. So in that moment, we nailed it. And we had 3 sharks wanting to make us deals. In the end, we accepted a deal with Mark Cuban on the show. We were, you know, communicating with him, talking with him afterwards. And push came to shove, and it wasn't, you know, when you get into the nitty gritty of it, we wanted to make some adjustments to the agreement, and it was not received, and it was like absolutely not. And so he said, thank you, but no thank you, which he was not happy about at all. He was very mad. And yeah, and then we went on to continue to build our business. At that point, we had just started franchising. At the time I exited, about 15 years after that, 14 years later, we had 70 franchises in the United States. We had a master franchise in China. It's still going on. I ended up, my sister is still operating it, owning it, growing it, loving it. And so, yeah, it's something I'm really proud of, and something that we did. I don't have a business background. For years, people would talk about a P&L, and I was looking up P-N-L, like what is P&L, Pinole? Like I didn't know what it was. Like I didn't know anything. You know, we didn't have a business plan. We didn't have a marketing plan. We were just leaning into what we were good at, and then it turned into a business. And I don't know if I answered your question, but that was the Shark Tank story, and it was a blast, and it was a gift. And you know, nobody knew what the show was. The year we were on it, it was year 2. People were like, is it going to be real? And now I get hit up every now and then when it's on CNBC at night, and you know, Megan from 15 years ago is on TV. So the gift that keeps on giving.
It's so fun.
Yeah, really
Well,
fun.
and that moment that you decided to walk away, what was the reason? I mean, and if it's private, you don't have to share that. But like, if not the reason, what was the lesson of walking away from it?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, one of the huge reasons was basically we were told we can just sign franchise agreements. They were like, don't do any of this other stuff you want to do. We wanted to write songs and albums. We wanted to create this whole brand around Tippy Toes. And they were like, no, you're just going to sell franchises. And as much as we wanted to build the franchise business, we were still felt new, and we wanted to build more. We wanted to write children's music and have it. And we just had all these ideas. And it felt like, if I recall, I came home when I was 8 to put on a business suit. The idea of being told you're going to go have contracts signed and that's the only thing you're going to do anymore, it felt like it was taking away my identity of what I started it for. And so it just felt like it wasn't aligned with where we were. And luckily, you know, my sister and I were both felt the same way at the time. And, you know, it just didn't match. And there was no give, there was no conversation. That wasn't an option. And so I think it's really important to be really clear about what you care most about in your life. And at that time, we wanted to build, we wanted to create, and that was going to be taken off the table. And there was no gray area. And that just felt like, why would I give up what I have for something that I may or may not end up wanting? You know, it just didn't, it didn't make sense. So we did it all on our own. We never had, you know, any backers or investors, and we owned it all the way, all ourselves. And it was great. It was a great path, and I'm proud of it. And, you know, it's made a big impact on kids' lives, which is really what always was driving us. You know, it's like a happy place for thousands of kids every single day. And that's super cool and something I'm really proud of.
Steer your own ship. Steer your own ship. I love
Very
that.
good.
Yeah.
Shout out to the James Ursini. Thank you, James, for tuning in on YouTube. Okay. I got 2 philosophical questions for you. Why is this quote from Maya Angelou one of your favorites, when it says, people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel?
because I don't think there's anything more powerful than being able to positively impact other people. And I just think that, like, it's not about, memorizing a quote. It's not about, I can't tell you what, a friend of mine, Lindsay Picardo, has ever necessarily said to me, but I know how she makes me feel. And I know how wonderful it is to be around her. And I think sometimes it's easy to get caught up in stuff. And to me, that like just simplifies like how we should show up for other people in the world, and how, how important I think it's also a sign of authenticity to be like, oh, I'm really, I want you to know I'm like really here. I really care about you. And that quote is what I think of when I hear that. I think of like a warm hug, and not just like a quote, but something that really moves the needle in how we can impact other people. I feel like emotional intelligence is one of the reasons I've had any level of success, is because that's something that I have relied on a lot in my life. I had amazing parents who've always helped me and guided me and taught me the importance of taking care of people that matter to you. And I think that is what that quote kind of is talking about. And I think it's also coming from who it came from. I think it means even more, because she didn't always have, she could, it's important on both sides. Like, how are people going to make you feel, like good or bad? It's important to really identify that, and then put more of those good feeling people in your life, because that makes all the difference too. Yeah.
Yeah.
It does. Yes.
Mhm.
Have you had dinner with Oprah yet?
No, but I believe she's thinking about it. I think she's
Okay.
probably looking at her
So my follow-up,
schedule.
yes, yes. My follow-up is, how can we help you make that happen? How can we help you make that happen?
Oh my
Oh,
goodness. Amani, I want to know where you did this research, because I am very impressed. It is a deep cut, and I'm here for it. I like it. Yeah, I'm impressed. Yeah, we need to make that happen. I will tell you, my list continues to grow too, of people that I admire, and I just love being around people that light me up and do things in their own way, or lead it. I think one of the things I love the most in other people is when I see them like putting their hand out to somebody else, to be like, "Come with me. This is super fun. This way, come here. Let me help you," because it's been done for me, and I try to do it for other people. And it's so validating and so empowering when you get that from somebody else, and it's so cool to do it for somebody in your life too. And I think that's what I always saw from Oprah growing up, was it was how she showed up for others in that way.
Yeah.
yeah. I want to switch gears for a second. But by the way, Opes is on my dinner list too. So like I share that.
So,
If there's a chance
Yes.
to invite people, like I will,
Uh-huh.
I'll bring you.
Mhm.
She'll probably invite you first, but I'll bring you. I bring you.
I love that. Okay.
I
We're
love me
pairing
some
out. We're going in a
Opes.
duo.
We
Okay.
are, yeah, we are in tandem. We are in tandem. I want to switch gears to talk about your podcast. So you start this podcast, Who is Your Mama? And you have this brilliant idea to interview celebrities and the mothers of celebrities and famous people. I got to tell you, I have been binging this all week. I listened to your interview with
Thank
Jesse's
you.
mom and Sarah's mom and Kyle Murray's mom, which was so cute. And then he was like just in the news for how great he is. Like the mom interviews were so awesome, because not only are we hearing about these people, but there's like these thoroughfares of lessons, and you're giving so much advice to the moms that are listening, that are out there. And you were so good at that. So of the moms that you interviewed, what are some personal takeaways that you apply to your own mom world?
Thank you first for listening. That's very exciting.
Yes.
I really appreciate it. I have to say I haven't done episodes in a while, and it is very hot and very top of mind for me. Like, I am going to come out with more, because I love it so much, because I love these women so much. And the women that I interview, let me answer your question first, because I could go off about the moms. Kids be bored. I heard that over and over and over from these women who have raised exceptional people, big leaguers, NFL all-stars, Sarah Blakely, Jesse Itzler, Ramit Sethi, like unbelievable people who are doing incredible things in their life. Time and time again, let your kids be bored. Leave them
mm,
alone. Don't take them everywhere. Don't do everything. And I'll tell you, when I heard that the first, like my kids were younger and I was like, okay, as your kids get older, it's harder. Like, because there's so much stuff and there's so many groups and things to join. And it's literally, you have to be careful you actually have to do that. You have to be careful to do it because it's very easy to not let your kids be bored. And then they're going to turn 20 and be like, what am I programmed to do? I don't know how to just like roam around the house or, not do anything or not scroll. Our kids don't have devices. They're 9, 11, and 13. And we are a unicorn in our world. And I can't believe it because I'm like, God, it's just, I think it's so important. And I've seen the power of it. Let your kids be bored. And then I would say another one is just like love them like crazy, like encourage them, empower them. You are not going to change them. So just empower them to be who they are. Like your kid knows who they are and they don't need us to be telling them who they are. They are well aware. And it's our job as a parent to see them for who they are and show up for them the way we need to as a parent. That was really powerful. I think, there's another parenting person out there that said, you're a shepherd, not an engineer. And I think about it all the time. And those were the messages that I would hear from the parents, empower them to be who they are. So that's really important. And I think at the end of the day, a lot of them, what I took to heart was they were like, I didn't know what I was doing. Because as a parent, sometimes you're like, I should know what I'm doing. And you don't. And so to hear it from these legends, like, okay, so you didn't know what you were doing either. And then you loved them, you let them be bored, you gave them space, you supported them, and everything turned out okay. You're like, oh, okay, I can do that.
Yeah, got it. You're like, check. I got it.
Yeah, I can do that because it can be daunting at times. So, but the women are incredible. They don't care. Half the time they're like, what is this podcast? Who's going to listen? I don't even know why you want to talk to me. And then they would open their mouth and I would be like drooling with an admiration for them. Like they're so brilliant and so smart and so caring and so kind and so thoughtful. And they are not trying to promote anything. They don't care if you like them or not. They don't care if you follow them or not. There's no way to follow half of them anyways. And so it's like that authentic guidance and leadership from women that have been there and done that, I just think is so powerful and so cool.
Hey friends, how many times have you read a boring business book that tells you about the same tactics over and over and over again? Get comfortable at being uncomfortable. Don't forget to manage your time. All these silly things that we know, right? When you read my book, Sales Tales, The Hustle, Humor, and Lessons of a Life in Sales, I promise you, there's nothing boring about it. It goes in the order of a standard sale from prospecting all the way through asking for the sale. And it's hilarious stories and statistics that will help you grow your business, relate to the actual business of being an entrepreneur or a salesperson, and it will give you practical, tactical, digestible snacks that you can apply immediately after reading. So head over to wherever you buy your books and look for Mandi Graziano, Sales Tales, The Hustle, Humor, and Lessons from a Life in Sales. Can't wait to hear what you think. I'm not a mom of humans, and I could not stop listening to a mother podcast. I was like, it's just so good.
So nice.
I think the questions you asked are good, but something I really admired about how you ran your show is, and we talk about this a lot. We talked about this off air when you got on, is we're building in public. Join us on our adventure. We have no idea what we're doing, and we're just learning along the way. And you were very vocal. In fact, I think one of your episodes, you're like, watch this, I don't know where. And I think like I think people think when you have to start a podcast, you got to know everything there is to know about it. But I think podcast is one of the most forgiving mediums where you can just start it and like figure it out along the way and build in public. So what was something about starting your podcast that surprised you?
Again, your guys' homework is incredible. Like I've never been on a podcast where people like, you guys are like really, really good. But I have to say, so starting my podcast, it was an idea. And that was all it was. And I was like asking, Beyonce, her mom, Justin Timberlake, Michelle Obama. Like I was asking everybody, right? And on DM, like, I don't know. I was trying to find emails, trying to find like doing all the research. Nobody wanted me to do anything. Nobody replied, of course. Like no. And it was 10 people, 20 people, 30 people, 40, 50, 60, 100 people. Nobody cares. Jesse Itzler posts something. I'm like, well, I'll send him my pitch and I'll tweak it a little bit and see if it, and he was like, I'd love for you to interview my mom. I'd love to hear what she has to say. I'd love for her to be on your podcast. And I was like, well, I don't really have a podcast. Like, I don't actually know how to do a podcast. Like, I was just like, I had the name and I had the idea. And then I just started asking people to be on it. But I had no idea how to do a podcast. Like, I'm like, what? Like, I don't have a microphone. Like, what? So I went to like a guitar store in Dallas when I lived there. And I was like, I'm supposed to do a podcast interview in like a week. Can you help me? I have no idea what to do. and I had no idea. And so I figured it out. My first episode was in my house underneath the stairs in my kids' play closet. And I taped, my notes to the wall, and I had these pillows stacked and blankets around me, and I had no idea what I was doing, and I was sweating bullets. And it was the first interview I've ever done in my entire life, was with Jesse's mom, who was 86 years old, and I was calling her on a phone. And that was my first experience of ever, doing an interview, and I was intimidated and overwhelmed. And when I finished the episode with an 86-year-old woman who had never been interviewed, she was being interviewed by me, who had never interviewed anybody, I fist pumped, because it wasn't about the bells and whistles. It wasn't about my studio. Nobody cared about my microphone. Nobody cared what anything. They didn't care what my questions were or anything. What mattered was the content. What mattered was the heart. What mattered was it was two moms connecting who really wanted to talk about parenting. And that works. That's all you need, really, is coming from an authentic place where you're going towards something that you care about and that the guests cared about. And that's where the magic came. I had no clue what I was doing. I had no idea what I was doing. And I didn't even have a plan for where I was. I didn't even know. I just was trying to develop a personal brand. So I picked a topic that I cared a lot about, which is parenting. It didn't really make sense because at the time I was a franchisor. Like, many people probably were like, don't do that. Why? It is not on brand. Yeah. But it was on brand for me, and so I just think so many times when something lights you up, you just have to follow that. Like, if it's something is lighting you up, there's a reason it's lighting you up, follow it, follow that fire. There's something there. And my second interview was with Sarah Blakely's mom, so Jesse heard it. He was like, oh, this is amazing. And I was like, it is? Okay. I was like, yeah, great. He's like, I want you to interview my mother-in-law. I was like, oh my God, done. I am, again, back to what I said earlier, become qualified through action. When he said, will you interview my mom? I cannot tell you how unqualified I was to be having a podcast episode. Totally unqualified. Right. But I showed up and I cared a lot, and it worked. And, I think all the bells and whistles and all this starting pretty and it has to be a certain way. No, it doesn't. It doesn't. And you know what? On the back end, if you don't have the perfect website or the perfect Instagram thing, I didn't know what I was doing. And you're right. On the thing, I was like, you can listen to this, where I was like, I don't know, because I was the one that was going to edit it. And I was going to be the one to figure out where I'm going to post it. I was like, I don't know where I'm going to post it,
When you said you could listen to this, you're like, I don't know. I'm like, I love this. This is so real. It was so great.
Very real, that is for sure.
It was so great.
We've come to the time of the show now where we have to flip the script, which is going to be very interesting. So now you can ask any one of us a question. Doesn't matter what the question is. Nothing's off limits. So who are you going to ask the question to, and what is said question? First, we each get one.
Okay. So at the beginning, you were talking about your sweatshirt.
Yes.
Talking about, you said something like, I have your cartoon to Mandi. So I would like to, I need more conversation around that, basically. So do you draw cartoons? Okay. Why the cartoons? I need more to that, because I think that's very cool. There's a comedian, Kevin Nealon, does these caricatures that are really cool. And I'm so fascinated by any talent that people can do things like that. Do you actually draw them? You don't draw them.
I do not draw the cartoons. I have a guy on Fiverr that will draw it for me. Okay. On my previous podcast, every episode I take my picture and the guest picture and make it a cartoon, and that will be the cover art. So I did that. That's how I first got started. Then I made this hoodie when we have the people from Twitch who were supporting me during the pandemic, and I was streaming live DJ sets as a DJ. Then Mandi and we have our cartoons as part of our. We have a big banner. We take the trade shows and all that. So that's the thing. I just think cartoons catch people's eye, and it really starts a good conversation. So that's cartoons kind of come from, and I love them. And I use one of them as like my avatar on many different social media platforms like Slack and all that. It's my little guy pops up.
Yes.
It's actually not my brand or whatever, my brand logo, which I'm going to change it to. So yeah.
Okay, I love that. And I totally agree that it always like I can picture you right now, your Instagram, because of your cartoon. You know, like, and I feel like there's something sticky about it. And
Yeah.
so yeah,
Yeah.
thank you for sharing
Thank
that.
you.
Okay.
Okay. Mandi.
Okay. Mandi. Okay. My question, because I know you're a great speaker and because you are often in front of people, I'm curious when you are, and I'm sure that you have people that listen to that have, you know, go on stages and speak as well. I'm curious when you're on stage, when you're speaking, when you're talking to groups of people, what is like you can either pick your thing that you love to see in the audience or the thing that you're like, this is the worst if I see this in the audience. Like, because I didn't know what it was like until I became a speaker. And then you realize when
Yeah.
someone's like,
Yeah.
you know, like
Yeah.
you're like, oh my God,
Just
you're
yawning.
killing me as a speaker. You know, like so now when I'm anywhere, I'm like this the whole time. I'm like, you know, because I just know
Me too,
as a
yes.
speaker, you like die in your soul when someone's yawning. So I was curious for you, Mandi. Do you have anything that you love to see in the audience or that you find to be a challenge or both?
Oh, I love this question. Really quick on the yawning though. I used to freak out about yawning. And then I realized sometimes it's really cold in those rooms by design. And yawning is a natural reaction to being cold. So I got over the yawning, but I'll just pass
You're like,
that
you're
to you
cold.
because I'm like, you're
I
cold.
love it.
I'm cold too. So, okay. Something I love is people taking notes. And one time I was speaking to a bunch of YPO people and I asked for a testimonial and the person came back to me with, I knew this was a good speech when everybody in the audience was feverishly taking notes. Like the word feverish, I was like, oh, I love that. Like that's like love language. But when people are taking notes, whether they're like
Yeah.
handwriting or on their phone, I don't assume if people are on their phone that they're like checking their emails because a lot of people use their
Yeah.
notes app, right? So
Yeah.
when people are taking notes, that like makes my heart pound with happiness. I love that. And then the thing that I notice, and this always happens towards the end of the speech, and I notice this when I'm in an audience too, is like the last 10 to 15 minutes, if people are starting to look around or they're like edgy in their seat, sometimes I'll change the energy a little bit or I'll wrap up in a different way. Or if I'm in the audience, I do the same thing, Megan. I overcompensate. Like if I see people like edging in their seats or looking around, I sit up extra straight and I like stare at the speaker because I want to give them all their flowers. It's
You're
so
like,
hard
I'm here
to
for you. Yeah.
like if no one else is, I'm here for you too. I did the same thing. But I noticed a physical body twitch kind of thing. And like, that's when I know, okay, Mandi, like wrap this up or like pay close attention to the other speaker.
Yeah. I love that. I love it.
Well, that's actually a good segue because I have a question for you about your professional speaking because you are an awesome professional speaker. And when you take the stage, you inspire people to take one little action, even if they don't know what they're doing. I think evidence would show like you have a theme here, right? Like just take the action if you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah.
So what's one little action that you've taken that has led you down an incredible path?
In speaking or just in general?
In speaking or in general, whatever comes up for you when I ask that. I mean, you've already talked about Shark Tank. You talked about emailing everybody and Jesse responded. Like, is there anything else like when you're on stage that you're like, God, I just wish if they would just take that little action, like they just the pot of gold on the other side is so amazing.
Yeah. You know what I think people, it actually kind of goes back to the basketball story. What I think a lot of people miss is like what comes really naturally to you could be groundbreaking to somebody else. And you don't see it because you're like, oh, that's not that big of a deal. Like for me, it was like, well, I mean, yeah, I'll be a good teammate, but that's not a big deal. Well, it actually could have been a really big deal. When I go speak, actually, just out of curiosity, can either one of you sew a button on a shirt?
No.
Okay.
Sorry, Mom. I know my mom's listening. Sorry, Mom. I know you taught me that.
I love that you both said no. It's very funny because usually in an audience, when you're in it, you can imagine you're in an audience and I'm like, who can sew a button on a shirt? And most people are like, on a shirt. And I'm like, I can't. I don't know how you do it. I've tried and it doesn't work and I can't do it. And you know, but like when you can do that, you're like, that's not that big of a deal. You know, so I think that there's a blind spot for people at their own greatness because it's what comes naturally to them. It's what comes easily to them, and it's really meaningful to other people. And so, to me, that's the green light to keep showing up as yourself and don't take yourself for granted. Don't take your special gifts for granted. Don't take the things that you can do easily or that you're excel in. That means something. That matters, you know. And so that's something that I've identified as really important. So instead of shrinking the things that I don't think are that big of a deal. I own them, and I want, my greatest hope is that everybody else does too. I see people struggle with this a lot, that they just don't feel like they don't have the thing to offer. And I'm like, you are the thing. You do have, like, it's you. Like, as soon as we really understand, like, so much of the success I've had is, it hasn't been like, it's been like just paying attention to the things that we're all capable of inside of us, like owning who you are and taking that leap of faith. And those things they don't require anybody else. It just requires the willingness to kind of bet on yourself and bet on who you are. And yeah, so I think that's something that's made a difference for me, and I've seen as resonates with audiences when they speak to them.
You are the thing. Love that.
Yes.
So great.
So I have a
Mhm.
follow-up question to that, and then one final question. Why do you think it's so hard for people to take action? People just we get all these ideas, and to take action, it's so hard for people. Why do you think that's the case?
I think people are afraid of the unknown. And so
Mm,
the idea, it's not even just a failure, but just like, I don't know how it's going to go. And that space between knowing what's going to happen and not knowing what is going to happen, that's to me where so many people drop off, because it's like, well, I don't know what's going to happen. And I would just say nobody else does either. Nobody else cares. And I will say, over like in the later part of my career, I have learned from being around people like a Jesse Itzler that, like, they don't have a code book for how everything's going to go well. They're the same boat that everybody else is in terms of, like, I don't know, we'll figure it out. And I think once I saw people that I really admired being in that same boat, all of a sudden that unknown, I'm like, yeah, let's give it a whirl. Let's see what we're going to find out in the unknown. You know, my husband's a college baseball coach, and he always says there's winning and learning. And to
mm,
me, that's what that is. There's a chance to either win or learn, and whatever you're going to learn, you're going to get better at it next time. So to me, it's just like, it's part of the process. What did you,
yeah,
was that,
that works. That
what did
works.
you
Yeah,
ask
yeah,
me? Okay.
yeah. You got it. You got it.
I keep
Now,
trying to be able to be like, what was the question that I hinted
it's
at?
okay. You're stream of consciousness. You're good. You're good.
The answers are
I wanna,
so good.
yes, I want to
Thank
take
you.
you back to Stillwater when you're about
Okay.
to finish. You're about to walk across the stage for graduation, and you're
Mhm.
going to meet younger Megan and give her advice based on everything you've learned so far in life. What advice would you give your younger self?
The advice I'd give to my younger self would be to let it rip. Like,
Mm,
to, like, go, like, be aggressive. Like, I was timid for a lot of years, and I don't know if it was politeness or if it was like, I'm a rule follower, and I, got good grades, and, like, was on good on the basketball team. So it's like, I felt like I was always kind of safe, and I didn't ever just like let it rip until I got older and I realized how fun it was to be like, oh, I'll do that. Like, I think there's an aggression that I would have loved to tell myself to, like, unlock right away. Like, just go for it. Like, go for it. Be aggressive in your life. Like, kind of like love your life big. Like, go after it. There's no like politeness needed. Be the biggest, loudest, most authentic version of yourself that you can be, because that's the most fun, is when you find that lane where you can really show up as yourself. And nobody cares what you're doing, so, like, be as much of yourself as you can be, and, like,
Sure.
enjoy it.
okay.
Yeah, that's what I would
I
say.
think after talking to you for about an hour, if you had stayed on the team in Oklahoma, they would have won the national championship. You were the
Oh,
missing ingredient. That's
I
what
just
I
got the
think. So with that,
chills.
I'll leave that as my parting gift for you,
Oh,
and let
Amani,
Mandy
no one has ever
take us
said
home.
that to me.
what?
Meant so much to me. Nobody has said that to me. I've never actually thought of that until you just said it that way. So thank you. That was such a gift.
My pleasure. Mandy,
Oh.
take us home.
Oh, okay. I have two final questions. One is a question submitted from Julie Dunkel. She's the CEO of Nick's Endurance, former podcast guest, friend of the pod. So she says, working so closely with Jesse, What is one non-negotiable habit or mindset shift that you've seen consistently move the needle for entrepreneurs that you coach? I guess that would be working with Jesse and when you coached all the 70 franchises as well, because you were coaching entrepreneurs then too.
Ooh, uh-oh.
Uh, we can't hear you all of a sudden. Hold on.
Did your battery run out on your head earphones? Did your battery run out on your earphones?
That's all
Okay.
right. We'll roll with
Okay.
this. We'll roll
We'll
with
roll
this.
with it. So what you could do is if you want to try your computer mic, you could, but we're almost done. So that
That's right.
could
No,
be
we're gonna get these last two questions
yeah.
in. We're gonna do it.
So try
Amani,
to
walk me through this.
try to change the audio
Okay.
setting. There you go.
Yes.
Do it. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
we're
go ahead, go
perfect.
ahead.
See?
Go ahead.
Building in
Anybody else?
public.
Anybody
No,
else have sweaty pits? Just me?
I'm just a sweaty person, and it's 85 degrees here in San Diego. We build in public. This is what we do. This
Yes,
is what
yes.
we do. Yeah, no
Yes.
harm, no foul. Okay, mindset shift that
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
consistently see move the needle for entrepreneurs.
Being aggressive, taking act, like going, doing, being a doer is the person that's doing the most wins. In sports, I see with my husband all the time. He's like the aggressor, and the sport wins. With starting the podcast, I have a podcast because I just started. Like, you just taking the action is way better than doing perfect action. Like, imperfect action is better than no action at all. And oh my gosh, it's so true. And Jesse is such an action taker. I remember after the first event we did, I was kind of like coming back like, okay, good, we'll have like a little bit of a break. And I remember it was like, Jesse was like, okay, here's what I was thinking about for next time. And I was like, we just finished. Like, I just got off the plane for the last one. Are we not gonna chill for a day? And he didn't. He doesn't. It's just going. And there's a reason that he's had the success he's had. He doesn't. You don't just wait. Things don't come to you. You got to go get them. I think if you're going to be an entrepreneur, you're going to build something, you got to go do it. You got to go get it after it. So I think being aggressive is important.
I love that. Okay. I find two more questions. Sorry, Amani. I know this is what I do. Okay. Amani asked about teenage-ish Megan. I want to go to the way back machine to like 7 or 8-year-old Megan, the one wearing the business suit.
Mhm.
What is Architecture Alley?
Oh my gosh, the research is unbelievable.
It's like a
Architecture
chef kiss.
It's unbelievable. Architecture Alley was my architecture firm that I had as a 7-year-old. And I would come home and I would be like, I would like find something and be like, Architecture Alley, this is Megan. Can I help you? And I stapled everything, and I just wrote a bunch of notes to nobody, and I would draw houses on pieces of paper like I was an architect. And they all looked the same because I had one type of house I could draw. And that was it. So that's what Architecture Alley was. Thank you for asking. It's
You're welcome.
Yes, it is no longer an active.
It's closed. It's exited. You've exited. Yeah,
I exited Architecture Alley. Yes.
Sunset in Architecture Alley. You've spent an hour plus with us. This has been amazing. My cheeks are aching. You've supported us. How can we support you, whether it's a Jesse event or it's booking you as a speaker or whatever else you have going on? How can we support and lift you up in everything that you're doing?
So awesome. What an awesome question to offer up to people. So thank you for asking. I would say two things. One, I love speaking so much. It's such a joy. I love to empower groups of leaders and people that are building things, people that are leading companies. I think it's just important to hear stories. And I love to share the stories from working with Jesse, from being on Shark Tank, from working on a basketball team, from building a international brand. Like, those things are, like, to me, speakers are great when they can tell the stories, and the stories are where all the lessons are. So that's one of my favorite things. So I would love to speak to people's groups and companies. And then so right now we are planning for this event with Jesse. It's called Built for Leadership, and it is going to be at Duke University. Legendary Hall of Fame coach K is going to be joining us, former Duke players. We have a special guest that I can't quite announce yet, but it's going to be mind-blowing. If you love Duke, if you love sports, if you love leadership, if you love college athletes and that leadership that comes from that world, this is like a mind-blowing event. Jesse will be there the whole time. It's going to be bonkers, and it's going to be super fun. So if you want to come hang out with a group of like high-powered movers and shakers in the world, that's the place to be at the end of April. So yeah.
I must interject. I grew up and still am a loyal University of Maryland fan. And one thing about anyone from Maryland is we hate Duke. However, I would still consider coming to the event because of you and Jesse, but we hate Duke. Coach K is like the devil to us, although we respect him and we know he's a beast. He still broke our heart too many times. Okay, Mandi, back to you.
Amani, you feel better? You got that off your chest?
Counting session. I get it.
It's so great. We've got Megan's website rolling across the ticker. We'll put the Jesse events website in the show notes. But real quick, do you want to give a couple quick websites, Megan? People can track you down and find you.
Yeah, you know what? LinkedIn is one of my favorite places to be. I love that. So hit me up at LinkedIn. I'm Megan L. Reilly. And my website's got more info on my speaking. And then Jesse's website's great with like all the fun events and things going on. There's never a dull moment over there too. So but that's it. I'd love to connect people and love to have people reach out afterwards. And I love supporting other people. So, if there's something that someone listening, if I can help with, or if I can give any piece of advice or whatever, don't hesitate to reach out, because I've had a lot of people reply to a DM or a question of mine along the years. And so I always try to do that if I can.
It's beautiful.
Well, thank you very much for being an amazing guest. It's been great to chat with you and laugh with you and learn from you. So we're just very appreciative of you being with us. So we're going to give you a round of applause. Put your degree real quick. So round of applause here for Megan Reilly real quick. We have applause. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Megan. So great to see you. This is awesome.
Yeah. Okay, put you back in the green room real quick. Okay, Mandi, we are all done for the day. Amazing show. What do we have to look forward to next week?
Next week, we have Justin Block, CEO of Block Adventures, investor, mindset expert. He also recently exited his company. He's a great guy. I got to sit next to him at Jesse's event in February. So we're just going to keep this whole Jesse vibe going. We've got
it's the Jesse month. Yes, it's the Jesse month.
These new community friends that we've met along the way. Yeah. So Justin Block will be with us next week.
Okay. Thank you, everyone, for watching and listening live. Make sure that you subscribe to us on YouTube. Feel free to share with a friend. Give us a rating or review. Thanks to our amazing guest today, Megan L. Reilly. And with that, we will see you live next week, 4 p.m. East Coast, 1 p.m. on the West Coast time zone. And thank you for your support.
Thank you for tuning in to Adventures in Business. Don't forget to rate and review our podcast on the platform that you're currently listening it on. And don't forget to share it with your friends and anybody that might be as much of the business nerds as Amani and I are. See you next time for another captivating interview.